Hi guys, happy Friday and welcome back to The Lazy Redhead. And if you don't know, I am the Lazy Redhead. And at the moment I am true to my word. I'm still in a tiny flunk. I'm slowly getting out of it. I feel the fizzing of inspiration, of trying to get it back. I need it back. I did say I want to do texture, didn't I? And texture is what we're doing this week. Because it's such a broad subject matter, texture, isn't it? I've kind of focused in on surface texture. So texture I would create, or we're gonna create, and then we're gonna work on top of said texture. Oh, my fur baby's here already, just do. The way I've broken this down is, rather than going full on just grabbing everything I can, I have boiled this down further to things I either use or I have been thinking about using, because it's a huge subject matter and we could be here for days. So all I've done is think, why do I want to focus on this subject? Why do I want to focus on surface texture? Just as a sideline, you can decide to try going around your house, cleaning cupboard. Oh, I love a sponge. Don't we love a sponge? Now we are getting on to territory of child's play, aren't we? Mark making from a child's perspective, putting a sponge in a peg like potato stamps. Now, you know, I think they're still very valid and have a lot to give. So don't be put off by going, is this really in my age range? Who cares? It's creating, isn't it? Who cares? I don't care. Find your inner child. This is less of a tutorial, more of a kind of, you know, a workshop on experimenting. You know, you're gonna watch me experimenting, making an absolute bloody mess, and you're gonna just kind of come along for the ride. So I don't want to mislead anyone and thinking they're gonna click on this video and be like, this is gonna be a tutorial on what to do. It's not. It's more like a reaction video. So that's what we're gonna do today, guys. And I hope you like it. I hope it's informative. I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm doing this right now and I have no idea what is gonna happen. Oh my word. Right, let's get on with this because he's a bloody, no, you spoiled boy. Sorry. See you in a bit. So in this box, I have scrap paper. I've taken some of those out. Swatching paper as well I keep in here. Tracing paper, love a bit of tracing paper. But I'm gonna get this out for the purposes of this experiment. I think this is a really decent size to start building some texture on. So that's the size I'm gonna do. Great swatching paper, brilliant. This is a great paste. It comes in a big tub and it's just textured paste, sand paste, whatever you wanna call it. So one of my subscribers, Pam, hi Pam, had spoken about gesso. Now some of the things that I advised to do regarding using gesso on paper in sketchbooks, don't know whether it is Lightfast or archival. So if you're into that and you want to do that, then obviously you're going to take a very different approach. I haven't researched at all about that, probably should have done in hindsight, but this is just messing around. I'm just going to put a nice thin layer on. Oh, that was interesting. I just pulled it off. It doesn't have to be perfect, unless you want it to be perfect, then you can spend ages kind of paletting it out. And in order to do that, you could get some water. So I'll do it now for you. Jar of water. Now, to have a smooth finish, if you wanted that, if you just dip your palette knife into water, you can smooth it out that way. I'm not really bothered, to be honest. More texture, the better, in my opinion. But what I want to try is creating lines. So I'm just gonna see if I can gouge this out. Ooh. It's a part of my still life Bonanza. I think this is quite nice. I'm gonna keep that like that, so let that dry. I use sand a lot. Now, I never create a surface with the sand prior to painting on like this. I actually mix the sand in with paint. I love it like that. But more and more, I've been thinking, creating surfaces to paint on. I'm gonna do, oh, don't mind it at all. Straighten that one up a little bit, nice. I like that it is a bit wibbly wobbly. Do you know what I mean? Set them to one side and let them dry. Oh, I'm just kind of getting myself into it. You know what I mean? Building myself to be a bit more experimental. Starting with the most familiar thing, which is sand paste for me, or textured paste. Right, what am I going to do with this? I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to use that little tool that I showed you was it last week? Oh, it was the week before when I was in a flunk that I'm still unfortunately in, so. Ooh. Nice. Get that off. That is a nice texture actually. It looks like stone. Oh, I like that one. Okay, set that one aside. I need to have a drying station. So the other thing I wanted to do was this. You know, like what's it called when in the ceilings, on the ceilings, in those old kind of 50s houses. Certainly, I'm talking about UK as well. What's it called? I've forgotten what it's called. But they do this on ceilings, don't they, with plaster of Paris. Oh, delicious. Right, okay, that's enough of that. Structure gel. I haven't used this a lot. This is the one that I had purchased when I started this channel actually, so you can imagine how long that's been. Okay, so how do I want to use this one? I have no idea. Jesus, this is how long. Ooh, oh, it does feel lovely. What I found with this though, it was too glossy. Very kind of like cheap acrylic vibe. Do you know what I mean? Where it's just kind of plasticky. But I am going to give it a go. Because I'm into my lines at the moment and I want to kind of get those down, but I'm going to do it with this. Hopefully I'll be able to find a way of using this stuff and actually use it up. I don't really like that. I prefer the sand, but is it because I love the sand and it's familiar? I don't know, I'm gonna do that. I didn't like it. Maybe it's better doing this, just kind of random. Maybe I should do that as opposed to the lines. I'll do that. The smell is very offensive, I'm not gonna lie. I'm only gonna do one because I'm not convinced that I'm gonna get along with this medium, I'll be perfectly honest. Back to some familiar stuff then, shall we? I'm gonna cut this one in half. Oh, it wasn't perfect, but we're not here to make it fabulous, are we? This is an oldie but goodie in my mind. So I'll use that up and clean this bad boy out. It's very crumbly, so all I'll do then is add a bit more of this. Ooh, oh, jeez, that's way too much, guys, way too much. Oh, what a bloody mess. Gentle movements, let's not go mental. And it's going mental, it's getting out of control. Bloody hell. Actually, what I might do is transfer over to a bigger piece, there's quite a lot here. I want to go back to a piece that I had done a while ago where I painted on top of glitter, and it's something I really enjoy, but I'm a bit hesitant. I'm just not convinced it's going to work out, right? So this is the perfect opportunity to do it. Heavy structure gel and charcoal powder. So this is a really lovely one. I'm into my black pages at the moment. So this is like best of both worlds. You get a gesso, sort of. So I'm creating a black piece of paper with texture. Let's really get it in there, shall we? Make a right bloody mess. I have created some texture on there. As you can see if I get it on the light, you see that? Nice. But I've gessoed it as well. Kill two birds with one stone. Okay, this is just a bloody nightmare. Next. Oh, I'm quite excited about this. As you can see, I have a lot of bamboo and I love the leaves. I have avoided utilising this, and the reason is because sometimes it can be quite crafty. Now, I love a craft, so I don't want there to be this massive uproar about me digging on crafts. I can crochet like nobody's business. I make my own patterns, I can make garments, I love crafting. But when we talk about the line between art and craft, those are blurred all the time, and when you do it well, when you do it right, it is the most amazing thing in the world. You know, I've got a lot of bamboo leaves, and it's free art materials. Right, now this is Mod Podge. So I'm just gonna put a layer down, like so, and then I'm just gonna stick them on, and I wanna layer them. I think what's happened is, this is a bloody nightmare. How is this going on? I'm just gonna do it and then hope for the best. Okay, that is as good as it's going to get. I think the other thing you could potentially do actually is soak them. So I'm going to do that. Just shove them in there with the water. And then they might be a bit more pliable. I'm going to put that in my bathroom. Oh, God. So I've got this load of grass that I picked up a while ago. Really dried out. So I'm probably... Oh, I tell you what, I'm going to get a pot. I'm going to get a pot. This is something I wanted to try for a while. I have done a lot of work with grass. Oh, it smells absolutely beautiful. So all I've done is put a load of grass in some water. Hopefully that will make it more pliable. You can do the same with PVA glue, but I'm just going to do it like this. How are you doing in there? Oh, it's working. I'm going to switch it up. Working. Now I've got these little swatches, these little cards that I just cut up and kept. So there's one with grass on there. But maybe this might be good for collage. Might just chop them up a bit more and do a bit of collage. It's not something I usually dabble in, I'll be honest. But do you know what? We are today. Just going to go and do it. Right, blob a bit on there. Oh, that's bloody quite a lot, isn't it? Oh, I'm using PVA for this because the Mod Podge does dry faster than you think, and I don't want to do that. Okay, collage. Right, so let's just start sticking stuff down. Let's go, shall we? Go there. Why not? Why bloody not? Put a bit of grass in there. This is what it's all about, you know. It's just, you know, just get in there, really, and create. You just got to have fun, haven't you, really? I'm going to put some of this on dry. Shove that in there. Pull it out, because otherwise it will just go bloody flat and be useless. You can choose to go back over with PVA just to make sure it's down. I'm going to pull some of this grass off here, though, for a laugh. Bit of glitter. Really just go for it. Why not? Perfect. I mean, it is what it is, isn't it? Right, so I'm going to set that aside to dry. Squeeze them out a bit. See if this actually works. Oh, it does. It does, guys. I am also going to take the grass and put it on the other side as well. Squeeze that out. Give a good lathering of this. Just dab it on there, I think. Doesn't start to adhere to the paper until the glue dries. I'll put a bit there. Perfect. It's a work in progress. It's an experiment. I'm just going to go ahead and clean up, and I'll meet you back here when this is dry, and we'll start creating some life-changing bits and bobs. Everything's dry. We're the next day, and by the time they actually dried, it was just too late at night, and I had lost all my va-va-voom. What I'm going to do is, rather than paint a picture or draw a picture, I am literally just going to mix media them. So I'm going to see what goes on what. I'm thinking, other than them, I'm going to take these lot and I'm going to gesso them, actually. The reason is I kind of want a clean base, because I think certainly with this one, we're going to find ourselves distracted by all of the different tones, textures and stuff. So the gesso I use at the moment is white gesso primer from Winsor & Newton. Not actually as textured as I wanted it to be. It seems like it's dropped a bit. It hasn't kept its form. You know, like with this one. I might gesso these as well to seal it. There are some casualties, but that's okay, you know, as long as it all doesn't come off, I'm good. I'm gonna really try and get it in there. This is the days you need a stubble brush. I do have a stubble brush somewhere. It's just I'm so lazy to get up from this chair and actually go hunt for it. Well, it is in the bloody title, isn't it? See what I mean about starting with quite a nice base? I am excited about this one though. Okay. Ooh. Oh, that is so nice to paint, I have to say. Already excited, not gonna lie, already pretty excited. One issue is, well, it could be an issue. I'll try and sell it like it's not an issue, because it really isn't. All these processes do take time to dry. So for example, the sand does dry quite fast, but certainly when you start adding glue, certainly cheaper glues, you will find that it does take a while to dry. You kind of have to have enough in the tank just to play around with making the grounds and then leave it to dry for a day. Then come back and gesso and do whatever you want. Certainly on these already sort of primed pieces, you can kind of just go straight in the next day. But when you're doing stuff like this, I actually do think it's better to prime, because you're sealing the surface then. Because each stage is actually quite relaxing. Just sort of gessoing these is still, you're still doing something. You're still being productive. You're not sitting around wallowing. And I know it's not rocking the world, but I've done something. When I've done something, I get myself a cup of tea and a biscuit. I'm just going to start playing with dry mediums first. So I'm going to start with the black. So we've got oil pastels and we've got Neo-2s here and soft pastels. This is not anything major, alright guys. This is literally just me picking up stuff that take my fancy, and I'm just swatching. What is that green? Yeah, that's a nice green. This is literally what I do. So what you don't see on the camera is me usually doing this. More often than not though, I'll be doing this downstairs with just pencils while I'm watching the TV. Where's that purple again? Test that bad boy out. And that bad boy. Well, that's nice, isn't it? Ooh. The other thing is, I'm going to ask myself, am I making the most of the texture? Have I made utter sense, or am I just talking nonsense at this point? It's not as textured as I want. You can see a little bit there. Yeah, there we go. You can see a bit more of the texture. I don't know whether you can. But yeah, you can see it there. See it there? Yeah. Next, glitter. Now, I don't feel, no, these are just basically what's going to happen is these are going to go right down to the bone. They're too expensive for that. So I'm going to stick with my oil pastels for now. Oh God, yes. Oh, one thing I do want to try on this actually, art graft. I'm going to do that quick before I put the oil down, because as soon as I put the bloody oil down, I know what will happen. Just sucks it up, doesn't it? You're probably saying, oh, I could have told you that. It's sucky, but we all knew that, because it's just like, it's basically fancy sand, isn't it? I still try anyway. Oh, I'll go with this blue. I know it's still wet, but oh, now, I tell you what's happened, right? Because I've put the wet down, it's done funny things with the glue and subsequently the glitter. So it's just scratching it off. I'm not mad about it, to be honest. So it's just scratching it off. I think you could probably see a bit there. It's just made it all mushy and wet again, so I kind of have to let that dry. Yeah, I'll let that dry. Okay, I've had a thought. With the more textured pieces, certainly like this one and this one, they're quite coarse. So I don't really want to waste my Neo-2s pastels and oil pastels on this. What I am going to do is, because I want to create some stripes, I'm just going to do a bit of gouache. So this is odd. I want to use this as like a background, but I want them to be sort of raised. Oh. Do you know what I think, right? Just in the first instance, the colour is taken away from the texture. I think that the colour distracts from the texture. It kind of camouflages it a bit. You know what I mean? You wouldn't know that that's textured. I'm gonna let that dry actually, because I'm not disappointed, it's just not what I wanted. But what I am gonna do is maybe create a vase type situation. I'm just gonna go in and actually do a still life kind of. It's not gonna be perfect. It's literally just to see if this works better. And I think that if I was to do it like this, that it would be better. I think that would be better, you know, because you can still see the texture. I'm gonna leave that because I don't want to overwork it. I think that's quite nice actually. But with this one, I think I've lost the texture because I've just replicated the texture in the pattern. I think what I would do with this one actually is mix it in with the sand like I ordinarily do. I'm actually going to do that now, actually. I'm going to do half of it. I think this is probably going to be a better way of doing it. Even just one line. I do prefer that than that because I think it was a waste of time doing the lines and then painting into it. Yeah. More positive. If I was to go this route, it might be good doing this and then cutting in with that, combining the two. I like it, we're getting somewhere. I'm going to do more of an abstract situation on these now. Let's just get some stuff down. Sometimes I can overwork it, but you know what, right? You can let it dry and go back into it with another medium. You know what I'll do is I'll let this dry and see where we get. I might choose one of my most favourite colours ever, which is this beautiful blue. What would happen if I do an oldie but goodie? Wipe? Do I wipe? Or is it just kind of mixing in? Maybe I'll put a different blue in. Ooh. I love experimenting. I think that's why I love art so much. You can still see the texture, you know, which is good. Right, let's see what we've got here. How does this fare? Should really swap out my water, but I'm lazy. Ooh. Try a different colour. Maybe go for I'll go for a blue. Let's go for a baby blue. Ooh. That certainly picks up that texture, doesn't it? It's because it's wet, it's not going down. Another bit of blending. Oh. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? I'm just going to take you through what I've done whilst I was waiting for other stuff to dry, and I'm an eager beaver. So I went over this one in some oil pastels. It made quite a nice effect when you roll the oil pastel over. So I've just gone with the oil pastel and just rolled it over like that, just to emphasize the marks I've already made. This one I did off camera, so this is the bamboo, and then the bamboo started cracking as I was putting pressure on it and ripping up. So I just went with it, and then I did a layer of glue to sort of stick it down again, and I also cut off the edges to make it more square. I went with green, all green. I'm going to continue with that in just a moment. I quite like that one. This one, so I cut this one in half, because you know I like chopping stuff up. And no, I think they're quite nice. I called a friend and they said it looks very much kind of like a close-up of Monet's lilies. In their own right, they're quite nice little colour swatches. Quite like that one, so there's them two. I'm going to keep this as it is at the moment. I'm not going to really mess with that one because I don't want to get rid of the texture, and I'm finding as you add colour, the texture becomes like secondary. This one I didn't let dry, so as I started going in, it started to break down the paste underneath and just like ground it into nothing. So I've got to stop with that one and let it be an eager beaver. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to put all these fabulous things to one side. I'm still waiting for this to dry so I can do another layer, but I might have to do that off camera because it's going to take me ages to bloody dry. We're going to start with these bad boys. One thing I haven't actually tried is ink. So where's my stubby brush? I had it here, didn't I? Oh, there it is. Found it. Found it. I mean, it's all right, isn't it? I don't mind it. These would actually make very good prints, to be fair. I might try that actually. So now, obviously I don't have a proper printing block, so it's just gonna have to be kind of old school. See if it would actually work. No, that's shit. Leave it like that. I'll do something else on it. I suppose these could make a good print, couldn't they? How do I do that then? So let's get the black ink out and see if we can do another one. Right, now what I might do is rather than tip it up and tip it down, keep it like that so the excess drops to the bottom. Putting this on, and then it's just a Liquitex bottle. You need like a proper press, but we don't have one, and I'm sure that I probably could fashion one together, but when you're in the thrills of experimenting, I don't like to wait around. Ooh, okay. So that happened. In terms of it being like a mixed media situation, I don't think this has worked, but I think printing off these things could be something, but I do need to do it properly because I think I'm just going to get false results. I think I'll let that dry because I'm just making a bit of a mess now. Wrapping up. I hope this video was good this week. I really enjoyed myself. I had such a fabulous time. So there's a stack here that I've done of just different bits and bobs. Well, you saw them. There's loads of different things. These will not go to waste. Obviously, this wasn't the outcome I wanted originally. But this is what it's all about. It's just about experimenting. I quite like this one. The texture on it is pretty delicious, you know. I don't know whether you can see it. I quite like that one. I learnt a lot from that. That one was textured gel. You can see it. I think it's sunk. I quite like the image though, so I'll keep that in the successful pile. I love this one. I mean, you can see some texture there. And it was nice to work on top of, I have to say. But not what I wanted in terms of surface texture to work on top of. This stripy one, I don't think this worked. Putting the texture down and then working on top, I think it just blends in and you don't really appreciate the texture unless you're right up to it, and that's kind of not what I want to achieve. Using it more like this is a far better way. You get more of appreciation of that texture. This one is definitely going to the bin. I'm a lot further than I have been in getting my mojo back. And I think I'm just gonna be consistent, continue to get some good stuff on the go, just sit there and just tell myself there is no pressure. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I hope it was informative and I hope it gave you some inspiration or some ideas. If indeed it has, let me know in the comments section. And if you are an artist that focuses on textured surfaces, then I would absolutely love to hear from you and love to hear your ideas and potentially see some work. If you've got an Instagram or anything like that, let me know in the comments below, because I would love to go over and support your social media platforms like you support mine. So thank you so much, and I'll see you next week. Mwah!